Well, once again, I'd like to echo Jeremy's comments and appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedule to where you could be back in the office making some money or making the company some money, and instead you're showing up to learn about drill stem tests. So I'm real honored that you made that decision. And I'm not a professional speaker, I'll tell you that right now. What we're going to do, I've got a little PowerPoint presentation that's going to take some time. It's going to be kind of a hands-on deal. I'm going to kind of get into the inner workings of a drill stem test tool, which, you know, a lot of people have never seen the inside of one, and you know, probably don't. I can kind of tell there's not a real big understanding on how the valves and the different parts of the tool work. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to, after we get through that, then I've just got a whole bunch of case histories, different kinds of odd looking, strange looking tests, big tests, little tests, and we're going to go into the software and work with it a little bit, and then, you know, try to answer as many questions as I feel qualified to do. So let me go ahead and get started here. And I know a lot of you, so some of this, you know, you're gonna, you know, if you know me, it's all old stuff. But for people that don't know me, like Jeremy said, I'm a geology graduate from Fort Hays in '84. Started Trilobite in January of '86 with one person, and had some real tough times back then, but I've been able to expand and prosper, and you know, real proud of the employees that I have and the kind of work that we try to do. But anyway, let me get on into the testing part of it, and you know, the presentation here, and starting out with just some real basics, and what that is on the left hand side there. This is above the tool, a couple stands. That's the circulating sub, and this is the part of the tool that's used to reverse out fluid. If you look over there in the picture on the right, there's a pin that comes across there, and when you decide that you need to reverse out fluid, get rid of the fluid in your drill pipe, you drop a bar from the surface, and it comes down and shears off that pin, and then the mud in the annulus forces everything in the pipe up the pipe and out into the pit or into a vacuum truck is a preferred way to do it, assuming that either the mud is heavier. The mud has to be heavier, of course, than the fluid inside the pipe, or else this won't work. Another picture here, just to put it the perspective and size. That's one of those big fat marker pins, and there's the inside hole of the circulating sub. So it's not a real big hole, but you know, a lot of fluid will come through it, and you know, do a real good job of pushing the fluid up the pipe. This is something that I think probably not too many people have seen, but this is just kind of a representation of the inner part of the shut-in tool. And we run the tool in with the shut-in tool, and actually the part that's up on front, that's the shut-in tool mandrel. You can see the 4 little holes there. It's not a real good picture, but that's actually a pencil there stuck in that hole to kind of give you an idea of the size of the holes that the fluid has to come through. There's 6 holes here. There's 4 holes here. These holes are just a little bit bigger than these are O-ring grooves here. But anyway, the tool is run in the hole with the shut-in tool in the open position, and what keeps the pipe from filling full of mud when you're running in the hole is the hydraulic tool, which sits directly under the shut-in tool, and it also has almost exact identical arrangement inside with the mandrel and a sleeve, except that it's got a hydraulic cylinder and a timing mechanism to where when the tool is set on bottom and about 20,000 pounds of weight is set on the tool, after a period of a couple minutes, it's time for the packers to expand and everything to kind of stabilize. Then the hydraulic tool opens, and the shut-in tool is already in the open position, and so that's when the tool opens, and you know, start seeing bubbles in the bucket, and your test has commenced. Next picture, by rotating the drill pipe, there's a set of threads up above this mandrel. These, and I zoomed up a little more on this picture, but you can tell that these holes here aren't lined up with either set of holes. So there you are in your initial shut-in position. It takes 5 revolutions of the drill pipe to get this moved from where it was originally, lined up with these holes up to here. And so there you are in your initial shut-in, and then here we are in final flow. We're lined up again, and then final shut-in is here, and you'll notice we've got, you can kind of tell here, those are actually O-rings there, and then these are grooves. But we actually, for redundancy, we have 3 O-rings on top, 3 O-rings right right up against those ports on that mandrel, and then there's also 3 more O-rings up here. So there's a total of 9 O-rings trying to, all those O-rings are trying to seal and trying to make it a valid, successful test. And as anybody that's run some tests knows, that doesn't always work. You know, you can get rocks in there, and they can cut these O-rings, or this is actually stainless, but you can have something like chert or something will come in here and cut a groove, and you know, that's one of your causes of a leaking shut-in tool, which we'll show you one of those a little bit later on in the presentation. So that's just kind of a quick little rundown of how the shut-in tool itself works, and that's one of the main portions of the tool. Another thing that I have here, and it's setting back up there in the corner, and I don't know whether I just want to kind of let you guys roll it around and kick it and check it, but I've got a packer rubber setting up there, and of course I don't know how many of you have actually put your hands on a packer rubber, but that's a brand new one there, and it's, you know, never been in the hole, and it's one of the simplest parts of the tool, but it's sometimes one of the least understood parts. There's actually, and I couldn't for weight reasons, I couldn't bring the whole packer. I mean, I couldn't carry 300 pounds in here, but anyway, that packer has a hole in the middle of it, and there's a mandrel that runs in the middle of it, and then there's just then it just is able, that mandrel is actually able to slide up into a sliding head. It's very simple mechanism, and as long as you know, we run 2 of them there again for redundancy, when the 20,000 pounds of drill string is set down on those packers, just the bottom of that packer actually squeezes out. It's almost, and I always compare this, like if you take just a plain old pencil that's got an eraser on the end and just set it down on your desk and pretend that pencil eraser is your packer rubber, and the bottom of that pencil eraser will squish out, and that's just exactly what that packer's doing. Just about the bottom inch or 2 of that packer is the only thing that actually makes contact with the hole. And you know, you might wonder, well, how do I know that? Well, the reason why is because when you pull out of the hole, the only part of that packer that's ever scarred up, unless you just completely destroy one, the only part that shows any signs of contact or abrasion with the hole is just that bottom inch or 2 of the hole. And so really, when it always kind of amazes me that a test even works, because you've got maybe 2,000 pounds of hydrostatic pressure, and that tool opens, and so you've got atmosphere underneath, so you've got 2,000 pounds of pressure trying to get past a little bit of rubber, maybe this big, and then you're in rocks that are, you know, God knows what's down there for sure. But I mean, the only way I can tell is, you know, you drive by road cuts on interstate and you look at all those fractures and joints and, you know, rugose rocks, and then, you know, then you wonder, well, how did they drill the hole? Is it round? Is it oblong? You know, I mean, that being said, though, you know, one of the biggest complaints that we get, you know, we go out and you have a couple packer failures back to back, and everybody's pretty sure there's something wrong with your tool, because it couldn't be the rocks, or the mud's in good shape. But you know, there's just some holes you can't get a test on, or you can't get a packer seat, and then sometimes you move the packers a few feet or several feet away, and then everything's fine, and then sometimes not. It's just it's just kind of one of those devil in the details thing there. But that's, you know, like I said, feel free to mess with that packer anytime you want. So and moving on though, so we're into the final shut-in position on the tool right there, and then I'm just going to kind of go through some tests that would, you know, here's what we recovered, here's what kind of blow we had, and just some different, you know, scenarios to kind of show you what would be happening here. This particular test here is a fairly weak fluid test. The indication that we had some hydrocarbon is during the shut-in period of the test, we had a blow that built back to a 4.5-inch blow, and then on the final flow, notice how it took 3 minutes on the initial flow to get to bottom. On the final flow, it only took 15 seconds. Well, the reason that happened was the gas down.